Okay. All right, David.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And traditionally for the Mindfulness Mondays online, Jean usually asks me to say a few words of introduction. But everyone who's here is well familiar now, I think, with the Centre and our Mindfulness Mondays, whether they're face-to-face at Credo or online here, second Monday of the month. And it's nice to see you all. Alison, good to see you as well.
Thank you, David.
I see you had a new member of the group with you.
Oh, well, sadly, she's not permanent. She's my daughter's.
Okay.
But it makes a walk so much more worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
She makes it a lot more fun.
You keep her with us, and if she can meditate with us, so much the better.
Well, that will be a day. I'm going to put her down and she'll probably go to sleep, hopefully.
Usually I say a few words about something topical. And as Ajahn was talking there about the complexities of technology and how we have to try this and try that to find out what works best and what doesn't work best. And if after trying 6 different apps, nothing works well enough, we then have to look at upgrading our internet cable to a higher, better specification. And if that doesn't work, maybe even move house to somewhere where there is a better specification. And this is the world we live in. And of course, we tend to think that this is a more complex world. And I think it probably is. In my lifetime, I can't think of a more complex world in which I've lived. And partly that's also because there's so much choice. You know, if you go to the supermarket, I remember when there was one brand of baked beans, Heinz baked beans, and we thought they were the best baked beans ever. But now if you go to the supermarket, you will probably find at least 4 or 5 or 6 different brands of baked beans. And I'm sure it's the same for pretty much everything we go and buy these days. We find so many different brands, so many different choices, and we have to decide, will we pay a little bit more for a better quality brand, or will we pay a little bit less for a different quality brand? In some places where we live in the world, there still isn't much choice. You know, not only will we have different choices to make about brands, these days we don't actually know if the more expensive one is the better one. Because the psychologists these days spend so much time not just on the labeling of the brands, what colors will attract us, what size of words will attract us. But even now, they pay the supermarkets to put their brand in a good place where we'll see it. And I was reminded of this when I heard that Kellogg's, who produce all sorts of cereals, are going to court because of changes in the law which will ban this practice. So not only are we being persuaded by labels and by where supermarkets put these products on the shelves, we now discover that the manufacturers pay the supermarkets to put them in those particular locations. And of course, we pay for it. Whatever the manufacturers pay for the supermarkets, we eventually pay in the price. So the world has become a very, very complicated place. And it makes it even more important that we simplify how we live our lives. We cannot choose either to play this complicated game which pervades our life. Look at mobile phones. How many brands are there? How many price ranges? How much functionality is there in these mobile phones that we hardly ever use? 80% of the functionality in a mobile phone, most people don't use. And that reminded me that when I went to Australia to see my son recently, we arrived in Australia, and of course, roaming was very expensive. So we did what we've done in the past when we visited Russia and Ukraine. We went into a mobile phone shop and said, we want the cheapest possible phone for making a phone call in Australia, nothing else. Because of course, on our phones, we could pick up Wi-Fi a lot of the time, but we wanted to be able to make a low-cost phone calls in Australia. And the man who was serving us looked at us most strangely, like he'd never been asked the question before. And they didn't actually stock low-cost, old-fashioned mobile phones that make phone calls and pretty much nothing else. So we found another place and they did stock them. And we bought a mobile phone with a SIM card for £10. And we used that in Australia for making phone calls for a month. And it reminded me that, again, we've made the world so complicated by so much choice. And this is why I think in the modern world we live in, the more we simplify our lives by being more mindful, not just about our thoughts, but how we translate those thoughts into our speech and into our actions in everyday life. And in some way, the traditional Buddhist way of doing it was to find a forest, to go and live in the forest, settle in the forest, and live a mindful life away from the rest of the world. And of course, we can't do that. But one thing we can do is use our mindfulness meditation practice and really take that out into everyday life. Really take it out into the choices we make, not just in the way we live our lives, but the way we engage with the aspects of the modern world that makes it so complex. So with that thought, Ajahn, I'll hand back to you and leave you to lead the discussion and the practice.
So thank you very much, David, for the reflection. Quite challenging and also provoking words. And also end with a beautifully saying, be mindful. Doesn't matter what's going on out there, be mindful. So as we know, that mindfulness meditation is something that we know, but always forgot to be mindful. And which is the common error that makes us feel unhappy, feel troubled, and also feel messed up. And by the time when we realize that I am messed up, then realize, oh, I should have done meditation. Oh, I should have been more mindful. And yet it's not late yet. At least we are remembering that this is time to practice now. Let's feel the feelings, let's feel the errors, let's feel what have been experiencing now. At least coming back to the moment here will help us to be mindful now, and as a kind of an act that we are doing just to feel relaxed. And sometimes we may not be able to come back to the primary object or the object that we are paying attention to. Then those moments you can do walking. Because sometimes when there is so much going on in our head, it is difficult to meditate, because the more you meditate, those becomes louder and louder in our heads. So you can do a walking meditation. And the walking meditation, again, do not think that you are doing a walking meditation. You simply walk and be mindful of your feet. And again, you feel that you can't do it, you don't want to do it. The simple way, you are sitting, rather than just wondering and thinking and lost into the thoughts, you just notice your fist. Closing, opening. Closing, opening. Simple. You're mindful. Is it opening? It is closing. You can try now. See, this is also mindful. Opening, closing. Very simple. Right? And even this you feel very like annoying. You can use this. So it's a practical way of being mindful. When you are rubbing your hands, two hands, try to listen the noise, the sound, that rubbing sound. Try to notice the texture is rubbing one another. And then you may experience sweatings as well, particularly Vijay in Nepal, probably a little warmer there. You will experience little sweatings that like a gluing your hands. And then rather than pressing and doing it, let's just touch, feel, sensing, feeling, like the tickling, the softness. So you're playing. And every moment when you feel it, you're here. In the moment. You're not thinking anymore. You're connecting with the senses as you're feeling. You're connecting with your hands. And these are, again, when you are practicing, people can notice it. People can see, oh, what he or she's doing it. Weird. Something is going not nice, right? And if you notice, well, quite often time when I'm sitting, which normally people do not notice, I will be pressing it. I will be massaging, kind of a massage, pressing the fingers. And this is mindfulness. So rather than thinking of something else, I'm just pressing. Consciously, I'm pressing. Consciously, I'm playing with my hands. And be mindful. So as you are pressing, you see the pressure, you can notice the sensation, you can notice the releasement as well. If there is a tightness, as you are pressing it, you feel the release. I've been observing my old pictures when I was in the ceremonies. My hands are always, my right hand are most of the time at the back. And that is simply because I've been pressing my legs, just to be, rather than lost into the thought that what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do, what is going to happen. I'm pressing to be coming back to myself. So that's fine. Today, I want you to practice these, at least for 3 practices. Okay. So number 1, just raise, you can put your hands like this, holding. Okay. So left hand holding this, and then it's just, you don't have to close your eyes, just opening your fist and closing it down. So slowly. So let's do it for 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And without counting, just you close your eyes and see as you're opening your fist and closing it down. When you're opening it up, try to notice the small, slow, how it is opening up. Right? And just like think about a flower is just opening its buds, petals, slowly. Yeah? Slowly, mindfully opening it up. Now you can connect this slowly opening up with your abdomen. As it rises, along with that rising, opening it up. And as it falls, closing it down. Now you may change your hand if you feel tired. Change your hand to another one. Again, using the same method. Be mindful as you're opening it up and closing it down. And if possible, connect as you rise, as the breathe in, abdomen rises and it falls. So connecting with when it rises, opening the fist, when it falls, closing it down. So you don't have to think anything, just be mindful and sensing and feeling as it opens and as it folds. And feel the connection with your body. And you can rest. Rest your hands. And simply just connect with your breath and the abdomen. Mindful of the rising, falling of abdomen as breathe in and breathe out, or just to be mindful of breathing in and breathing out. And knowing whatever is happening in your body, in your feelings, and how are you reacting. So with the gong, open your eyes. Simply bring your two hands up and rubbing it. At first, rub that you can hear the sound of rubbing. And make it slower and slower gradually until the sound fades away, but you can just feel as you're rubbing your hand. And as it becomes slower, you can close your eyes and just feel the sensation as you're rubbing gently, but mindfully. So this is a simple technique of being a mindful. It's a practice of a mindfulness and disconnecting from our thoughts, that we're lost into the thoughts. Feeling, sensing as you are doing it. And with a great care, you are moving it mindfully, each fingers touching the palm, the feelings. And again, resting your hands on your lap Bring your attention to be mindful of your breath, incoming, outgoing, rising, falling. So aware of the breath, aware of your feelings, and aware of your mental connection, that how you're reacting or how you are responding. So with this, each breath that is coming through nose into our body, we can see the connection with it. So breath is fully connected with our body, and we can feel from inside how it is affecting. The effect of the breath as it comes in and effect of the breath as it goes out in our body, feeling, sensing, and observing it objectively. Do not hold on to it or do not reject to it. And in this moment, if you have any pains or tension or discomfort in any parts of your body, you can shift your attention to particular that place and observing the tension, the pain, along with the breath coming in and going out. And noticing that each breath coming in and each breath going out, how does it affect? And oftentimes, when we are paying attention to in this way and shifting our attention along with the breath, helps to release the tension, the pain, and discomfort. Now open your eyes and gentle give a massage to your fingers. Maybe start from the smallest one. So pressing 3 times in each fingers, each locks. You may close your eyes or you may open your eyes, it's up to you, whichever you feel connected and mindful. Noticing the pressure, noticing the tension, noticing the release, noticing the relax. So this way we are basically creating a condition to develop our mindfulness of the body and keep the mind in the present moment, here and now. Because if each time when we are moving and pressing, our mind is here. And then after pressing for a couple of times, simply rest your hands again on the lap. Relax yourself and be mindful of your breath coming in, going out, rising, falling. So sensing it from inside rather than thinking of the breath. Feel the breath. Connect with the breath rather than thinking, and this is breath. Observing as it is taking place. So when we are creating condition to be here and now, and another way, learning how mindfulness works within the body and disconnecting from the thoughts. So previously we were working with the breath, long breath, short breaths, and how it connects to the body. Today we are learning to notice more closer by playing and working with it. And this is, if you look at the famous discourse on the mindfulness, comes under, it's called the clear comprehension. So ability to comprehend each particular actions that we are taking place without losing our attention. An ability to be mindful of it from the beginning to the end. Whichever our physical appearance is, we are mindful of it. Fully connected. Ability to be mindful of the incoming breath and outgoing breath, and it rises, the falls, the body, feeling all these sensations, not by thinking, but sensing it. And see that how are we connecting to those feelings. In this case, any particular place or a part of the body that you feel tense or pain or discomfort, just relax by just relieving it. Mentally, just telling to yourself, just leave or relax. So breathing in, breathing out, rising, falling, Okay, so thank you very much. This is the practice for the today. Now, floor is yours. You can unmute and share your experiences or any difficulties that you are facing in your practice at home. And I believe that you've been practicing at home. Okay, floor is yours.
I want to ask something, Ajahn. So lately I've been asked by my sister to give her mindfulness sessions. So before I start, I asked David some advice. And David told me that it's important to perceive the five senses, that we get external, how do we get the external feelings? How do we understand it? So, and now with this practice as well, I am start to think that does our mind feels as well? Because we get the exterior sensations by our five senses: the look, the taste, the smell, the touch, and I am missing one. Sorry, but that automatically the mind gives a name to it, or feels something and the mind feels it. And even when we are present in the moment and we are relaxed, is our mind that is feeling relaxed. Do you understand what I mean? Does that make sense? Sorry. Sorry, it's a bit abstract, but lately I'm starting to think about it, that our mind feels as well.
It is,
sorry.
There are three things, okay? There is one, our body and the mind, right? So one part is our body and the mind. And this body and the mind is again further divided into 12 different parts. Okay, that 12 different parts is again based on eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind is the sixth, right? And then whatever comes to contact with it, the object that we see, the sound that we hear, the smell that we smell, and the taste that we taste by the tongue, and the things that comes to connect with the body, and things that think, okay? That's also one part of the mind. Okay? So there's 12 parts. And then further on in that, each 12 parts, in order to be recognized, it has to have another consciousness. It's called a conscious aware. Okay? And this conscious aware of these parts, what happens is that when these comes together, there arises this conscious awareness. So mind that we largely say is not the mind that we are projecting that I am, this is my mind, and this is me, that I am knowing it. So it is not that mind feels, but this conscious awareness that conditions to be aware of that one. Right? But for the basic that what you are experiencing and what you have explained is so far fine. You can say it that our mind is feeling it. That's fine, no problem. Okay, but over a period of practicing, gradually you see that each feeling is connected with the body, with the mind, and then each feelings arises with other conditions coming together. And with that, what happens is that the very moment when there is a conscious awareness of it, only then we feel it. Okay? So that's further deepens the understanding on that. Okay? There is a specific a book explains about it in Buddhist scripture called Elements. Okay? It's called a Dhatu Katha. And that book I have tried to understand and read. It's not easy. How complex the complexity is. Okay, like David was explaining, that we are making very complex into the complexity. You know, we are living in a complex environment now. Actually, when we read that scripture, then we realize that how much complexity going in our head, you know, in ourselves. Then that creation is not by anybody but ourselves. Okay? So that's why for the beginning, as you have understood that our mind is feeling it, that is fine. Yeah? But when you're explaining it, the important part is, do not say that I exist. Okay, but just the feeling it is fine.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, David.
Jean, is that the same as perception? When our senses come into contact with an object,
Yeah.
The conditioning we've experienced over many years translates that into a perception. And because we've experienced that experience before, it's the mind, if you like, experiencing that perception again.
We are recalling that perception and perceive a new experience it as similar or as it is that. But that perception, what we have to remember, that although we are collecting the past experiences and we perceiving the present experience as it is similar or alike, that is again a new perception that's happening now. Okay, and so here again, this perception is not the same and not the difference, and it is not also a feeling. Okay? It's a different from feeling and different from perception, but that's a new understanding, new knowing. So that's why in English language I call, you know, that I use normally in my own head, anything that we experience new, so that's N-E-W, new, what happens? It's become new. So just put the K at the front. I now know this thing become new, right? I knew it. Okay. So with that, I knew it. What this becomes new. And with that, the whole Buddha's teachings is basically changing the perception that we think we know, actually, that anything that we know is again conditioned. And because of that condition arises, that is in fact never new. Okay? Never new, always this change taking place. And with that, there will be no grasping, there will be no attachment, simply become observer, knowing it, always knowing. When we say, I knew, we are attached to that. Anything that coming to the existence, we are attached to that. I knew it. So we hold on to it. But if we say, I know, right? So, and then that's the knowing, the continue, it never ends, knowing. So whatever comes, whatever arises in the moment, all what we need is to be mindful that this is happening. I am knowing. Okay? And with that, it generates the awareness of being alertness, okay, non-sleepiness, or so-called non-delusional state. Okay? And with that, we are always alert to anything that's coming through our senses. Anything that comes, we simply knowing it. Not I know, not I knew. I am knowing it. So the continuity is there. So with that, what happens is that we are free. So we have a freedom. We know everything what's happening, and yet we are not holding on to it. Okay? So that's why with this, the perception of things changes from what we already perceive it as this is. Actually, not this is. It's always changing. Or another word, just is. Okay. Okay, anyone? Otherwise, we'll do the loving kindness meditation to finish stuff. Right, so let's do the loving kindness meditation. So before loving kindness meditation, just to give you information that this coming Saturday, we are having this mindfulness, the Interfaith Mindful Day at the center, which I think Alison is coming to join. And that's an Interfaith Mindful Day on the lonely or alone. We are going to have a few representatives from different faith groups to present on few reflections on it. There will be one or two poems as well. And after that, there will be, first of all, at the 10 o'clock, we will have a mindful walk in the woodlands that we have, and then a traditional food offering to the monks. So you will be experiencing how food been offered to the monks in our center. And then after that, what happens with the food. So that basically communal food. And then after that will be the reflection from different faith groups, right? In the afternoon. So we're planning to end it by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But again, after that, I have another 2 appointments. The children are coming to decorate for the Vesak celebration. Vesak, which is the day that the Buddha was born, enlightened, and passed away, coincidentally happened on the same day. So children, particularly in Sri Lanka, they have a tradition of coming to the temple and making a lantern to offer to the Buddha. So children are coming to make the lantern at the temple. And after that, again, we are going to start our new course, Introduction to Buddhism, in the evening. So a couple of members have registered for that. I just realized one gentleman dropped today. Hopefully there will be a couple of them coming to join. So that's a Saturday, and Sunday will be the full moon, the celebration of Vesak, the day when the Buddha was born, his enlightenment and passing away day. One of the very important days in the Buddhist calendar to remember, to reflect and commemorate, and also show our gratitude to the Buddha for his great compassion to give us these valuable teachings. Yeah, so we will be celebrating on the Sunday. There are members coming to stay all day. Yeah. Another one is going to happen on the 4th of June, which is the Queen's Jubilee as well. So we are celebrating Queen's Jubilee by ordaining 2 boys as a temporary novice monks at the temple. And in the afternoon, that will be our opening day for the public to come and attend or just to visit the temple. And in the afternoon, there will be an interfaith service from Aberdeen Interfaith on the service and gratitude. So members of the interfaith members will be coming to share on that on June So that will be after 2 to 4. So 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And June the 4th, Saturday the 4th of June. So if you are willing to come and join, please do come. So, Karina, you can book a flight and attend to that. Right. Okay. Then, so with this, let's practice loving kindness meditation. Okay. Okay. So simply sit in a comfortable position, relax your body, and reflect a few moments on today's practice. You may take a few long breaths just to relax the entire body, and reflecting on today's practice. Gently bring your attention to your body, feeling the sensation in your body. Whatever sensations are there, be mindful and observing it. And bring that attention to your hands. Be mindful of your hands. And do not move the fingers, just to be mindful of any sensations are there. Whatever sensations are there, just aware of it. And bring that attention to your heart. Feel the beating heart and allowing yourself to be happy. Allowing yourself to be free from all the troubles, all the sufferings. And thankful for the body and the life. Mentally telling to yourself, I am well. I am happy. You may imagine yourself giving a nice cuddle, mentally giving you a nice cuddle and telling yourself, I am well, I am happy. I'm free from suffering. I wish myself to be free from all kinds of suffering, physical and mental suffering. May I be free from it. May I be liberated, liberated. And extending loving kindness and compassion to all of the sentient beings. You may think of someone who's sitting next to you, or a member who is in your house, or in the community, in the country, or on earth, in the universe, or any particular person who you think they really need a great support in this time. May you be well, may you be happy, may you be at peace. And extending it to the entire universe, whatever beings there are, visible and invisible beings, whatever beings there are, may they be well, may they be happy, may they be at peace, may they be free from suffering. May they be liberated, liberated. Now bring your attention back to your body. Be mindful of a bodily sensation and to your eyes. Be mindful of your eyes and tension and preparing yourself to open it up and come back to the normal. Opening as you hear the sound of the gong, slowly opening your eyes and reflect for a few moments. Okay, so thank you everyone. Thank you very much and wish you all the best and have a good week, and we'll see you soon. Okay, take care and have a good day.
And got 2 minutes.
Thank you, Jean.
Yeah, all right.